Hi. So I did the blog, blah, in the description so that I can sort of help people understand how I'm tying all of this together because it's time to find ways to give people the evidence. Um, so we're going to talk about Tom Welling again because I didn't finish my thoughts from the other video. I had to go to work or whatever. I'm always working, doing something. I talked a long time, so I'm going to try to make them smaller segments. I have to work again tomorrow. So I talked about like that whole high school prom thing, the secret place, right inside of me. The episode where he did this thing so perfectly, my jaw was like, my eyes were like, wow, wow, like that's it. That's the dude. That's the moment. Well, I found a picture. Well, I already had it in my folder, but this is the Clark Kent I'm talking about. That's the moment where he hasn't yet found the person that is necessary to take that high school prom experience where he knocked it off when he's like, high school prom is no big deal, whatever, right? Episode. But that picture of him is the essence of what it is he's looking for in the right person that they could never find in the show. And when they're doing casting calls during season 8 and season 9, and nobody would help me, nobody cared, it didn't matter. I'm going to try to find the folder. Just give me a second. I've got so many folders. No, it's not this one. It's my Bo Duke one. It's all my cars. It's my Knight Rider and my Dukes of Hazzard crossover folder. I think I found it. Oh, no, maybe not. Huh. It's a lot of folders. I'm still going through it. Okay, so it's kind of blurry, but this is not the folder I was looking for. But you can see that was only 15 years ago. That was me. I was normal size before I had my second child. Right? I wasn't even trying to have that baby. I literally just wanted to be on the show to do my part of what I was supposed to do. Now, that magical moment, that experience, was supposed to lead to a dress that's never been made. Because it cost so much money to make this. So, my idea had been to experience the perfect dress for myself. I have little changes I wanted to make to this. Was I wanted to make movie. I want to make money through the entertainment industry, so I make them pay for all the costumes because divorces are expensive. And I, for one, don't like to keep making those mistakes. I don't want to get divorced again and again and again, right? I got divorced once, saved my life, saved my oldest child's life. I did it God's way once. Child was born in wedlock, got it right. But I wasn't safe or protected. I couldn't even read my Bible. I was just lucky I could have one in the house. Little bits of talking here and there. Like, it was just so dangerous. But I was at one of my sickest points in my life. Oh, you can't really see that one. You can't see it here. But I'm always wearing baggy clothes covering it up because I feel like I look like an elephant. I feel like in this picture how I look today because I had a second child. And so I get so upset with the vanity of people and the assumption that if a person who's eaten meat and drank milk and did a lot of swimming and worked out with weights and built muscle mass in their 30s in this time period, and had children and had an insulin resistant disorder and then medications that cause weight gain, that somehow we were always this size, that we're out of shape, lazy, don't work out, don't eat right. And we've always been doing something wrong, and it's all our fault. It's not the case. I was a skinny little runt. I wasn't a toothpick by any means, because I was always active, worked out, swam. I've always had boobs. Now, if a skinny girl wears the same shirt I wear and I have boobs in that shirt and it looks good because I have a pair of racks, and you're complaining about it in my YouTube videos because I'm at home on my own time doing laundry, doing a video, don't watch the video if it bothers you because you can't look the same in the same shirt. Right? That's not my fault or my problem. Shouldn't be going around shaming people. Here, when I should have been working with Tom, I look like this. I should have been modeling. I definitely could have been acting. And I was touring with my music and busking. When I was in kindergarten, I looked like this. You see the eyes, the window to the soul? How devastated my life has been by people who have constantly want to target this soul and this love and this person, this innocence, and abuse it because it has that. Right? This is why I hurt so much for Sarah Sharif's story in the United Kingdom. Because you can't beat that out of somebody, no matter how much you abuse them or how little you let them cry for help or how much you make them beg for saying sorry, I'll do better next time. I won't complain until their last breath. And then they're like, well, is that good enough for you? Right? Oh, I made too much noise until there's no breathing and now the noise has stopped. It's not going to go away. God's just going to resurrect all of those kinds of people on that kind of love. So now he's been put in a situation where his life is falling apart from the character because he's got a crisis going on with the identity of the character because the character didn't get what it needed. Here, you see the little girl I was trying to give up for open adoption to him while she was still young enough for us to share because of the poverty and the conditions my kids were living in my mom's care, because this country had to try to go and do the scoop for no reason, just to get involved. Instead of trying to keep families together and reunite them with parents, you just keep them apart. No matter how true my story was in my career and my success, everybody just wanted to point the fingers at me like I was the problem. I wasn't then, and I'm not now. And that is why I started doing this channel. When the TV show ended in 2010, I started this in 2011, and I was driving around looking for new sites to do new episodes because I had the hope the show would pick up and we would continue and I could fix what was going wrong that was upsetting me with what Tom was being asked to do and put through. Now, Tom did mention this. So if anybody was listening at all and cared at all, then you would understand that one of the reasons there was such a large segment of time away from the show was because of the fact that people were not listening to how he was feeling about what was going on. There was a point in the show where he didn't like what was happening and it felt so bad that he described it with the words, I'm getting the heebie-jeebies. Now, everybody knows what the heebie-jeebies was like. We've all had the heebie-jeebies. And nobody likes the heebie-jeebies. The heebie-jeebies. Sorry. He's so cute to me sometimes. That smile. The heebie-jeebies was a good way to describe how bad the experience can be without getting graphic about the whole thing. So if a producer and writers at the table and other people are not caring about that, then it's a pretty good reason to end a show, walk away, quit. You can't pay me enough. And so he didn't want to go back. He was done with it. And honestly, I think that's part of what's sabotaging his situation now, because I think a part of him doesn't want to go in person, physically back on a set and do this part again because he's been violated of what he should have been allowed to have on time around the information that was in my head. Ugly Bat Boy. Superwoman. Right? I had created a new character. I worked hours with somebody on this and then put it on my van and made t-shirts and stuff. And this is his Lois Lane. It was not literally Lois, because in reality, they didn't really get married. There, all set for high adventure, excitement, and romance as Superwoman. So this was his partner getting superpowers for the day. Because in that version of the Superman and Lois story, it was about the conundrum that he's from Krypton and she's from Earth. How on earth are they supposed to be together? The reality is, Argo is another planet that has living people on it that have relatives of his, right? Living members from Krypton. They're not all dead. It's just one planet. And so, with kryptonite being what the core of the planet was made from, that there's ongoing material, that the planet's going to have to be rebuilt. And those people that died on the planet are going to have to be reborn through the pods. That their culture and society had moved forward from making love children like we do on Earth into that cloning system that we have the power to do today. But we absolutely know at this point, don't clone humans. Do not play God. So in essence, the information of where to find the DNA or the people that died on the planet to be cloned and then reborn. Sorry, just suddenly allergy. So I have that information. When Bryan Singer made the Superman movies with Henry Cavill, I'm allergic to everything, guys. Sorry. He gave the answer in the story with the Henry Cavill stuff. And I'm like, ooh, I got to take note of that. So that information is necessary to build the story around the silver S symbol that's been split in half and put in two different pods that came to Earth at two different places. And Jonathan Kent knew about both those pods and both those children coming to Earth. He saw the news and the story on the TV on the day that it was told that it was discovered and that this kid was discovered just like Clark in an empty field somewhere with no identifying family or people around. Only in her case, she was taken to an orphanage. And there was no way of figuring out what's going on. And the pod was hidden and taken away. And somehow she managed at some point when old enough, by who she was adopted by, who had some power, to get that pod released to her. And in their pods is each other's half. And Jonathan Kent kept little notes and newspaper clips and segments of information that doesn't get discovered until this reunion movie is made that I have written, that has been ready for him to start working on pretty much from the time that Henry Cavill played his Superman through Bryan Singer's work, that additional information. Like, I was doing these episode ideas back in 2009 when they were advertising for casting calls. Because I didn't like the stupid thing they stuck on Tom's chest in the phone booth. That infinity symbol is a figure 8. It's not a Superman symbol. It has nothing to do with Krypton or kryptonite. Like, I can't believe people are getting paid to design stuff like that and they call it art and that it's work. Like, it's so bad. It's like, well, just you don't have a job. That's not a skill. There's no talent in that. Like, there's no emotional uh forethought. There was nothing put into that, and then you plastered it onto a chest of a really good person who now has to suffer the consequence of that on his body in an episode of a TV show that was trying to be a good show for people to watch. So I fixed it with the symbol, and I couldn't fix it with him. And so everything is still outstanding. And as long as people um, don't talk about me or share the links to people that can get the stuff to him, then it holds everybody back from the blessing that's there in the work, in the promise of what it means to be Superwoman or creator of Superwoman. So here's some more pictures of what I look like as a teenager. So I want people who are skinny to know that if you don't eat right, if you don't eat meat, if you eat very little, if you just drink lots of Boost and Optifast, if you don't work with weights to build muscle mass, and you have kids, um, doesn't mean you're not going to get fat or overweight. Your body changes after childbirth. Your hormones change if you don't do things right when you're young and have the chance to take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, things are going to go wrong. Now, I had an insulin resistant hormone issue, but as you can see, that person wanted to have a career, wanted to have success, wanted to meet the right people like Evan and Jaron Lowenstein. I wanted to go home to England and be around the Queen and Philip and their family and my family. I didn't want to be dying in Canada talking about crimes of people who've been murdered and people that are being reported missing every day still. And I'm wearing Death on that t-shirt, which is a comic book that I loved. A comic book character that I love, because the symbolism behind it is it's pretty bad when death becomes your friend. And that's the crisis we're seeing on the streets when you see all these people on drugs, and that most of them are white Canadians, the last generation of the original ones in a country they were in that no longer exists in what they're in now, and that their only resort is to get out and give themselves back to God, the guy that created them and sent them to earth, because they want nothing to do with the other guy or any part of history or time in the world or places in the world they've never been and are not from and don't want to go to. Right? That's not going forward. That's not a future. That's moving forward backwards. And so it's pretty bad when death is your friend and that's like your only solution to how fight back over something so big that you don't know what to do. That's when I was a gypsy. Right? I had hard life, but if you were good to me, I was good to you. And this country hasn't been good to me. And yet I'm still trying to be good to the land. I'm still trying to give it soul, find the people that have soul in it. And I'm so happy for the people I've met through the work I do, because I'm around people that actually appreciate who I am. And it feels good to finally fit in somewhere where I'm liked. While I still struggle with where I wish I could have been by now, and what I still want to see happen for Tom, even if it's just the animated movie, to make sure it's the right cartoon. So here's the Highway of Tears t-shirts, the original ones. I wore one the other day. And these are the girls that were put on the back of my shirt. This is Crystal Knott. This is Renee Gunning. That's how young they were. Those are the two outside the West Edmonton Mall whose skulls were not found until 7 years after the disappearance, and they got coerced into the car over alcohol, just drinking. Their skulls were found around the time of me doing all of this, driving around up north and investigating, because I was pissed. I didn't know this stuff was happening until I was in my 30s, until I was up there. I scared the living daylights out of me because I had hitchhiked from Prince Rupert to Terrace, and then I saw this big sign about the missing and murdered women. And then I learned more about how many had gone, and I spent a year and a half in Terrace, and actual disappearances happened there while I was in Terrace. I started driving around. I saw stuff. I found stuff. I kept note of stuff. And I'm pretty sure I was on the right path. And then as I was driving to Fort St. John to work for security at the new hospital there, unbeknownst to me, I guess I had gotten pregnant because Abigail Andrews, the other girl on the shirt that I told you about, whose sign I saw when I was driving to Fort St. John, pregnant. I wrote in this on Facebook, I was pregnant. The first time I drove past the sign, I didn't even know there was a baby in me. That's how important my life and this work is to these murdered girls. A life was taken inside of her when she was taken from this world. My child was born to replace that life because I cared about these girls. My second child was born in the town she vanished from in memory and honor of her unborn child. She vanished after Sarah was born there, when I had briefly been forced to return to Terrace, BC. I will never know the outcome had I been able to stay in Fort St. John instead. I was that close on the heels of finding one of these killers of this, but this is what she looked like. So her disappearance and pregnancy versus my working there and getting pregnant and giving birth. Same 9 months. And I was tracking somebody that close, but it didn't stop there. Madison Scott disappeared at a party, outdoor party, in the dark, north. Parents advertised lots of money to get her back, right? But these kind of people, there's no remorse. They don't stop. Doesn't matter. They just go through with what they want to do. It took 12 years for her body to reappear conveniently on the other side of town in the same town. So superheroes really do matter in our lives. And being able to make the movies I had written, Supergirl 2, 3, 4, all over Canada, Toronto, Vancouver, Terrace, New York. You've got Mill 2, Vancouver, Winnipeg, New York. You've got Mill 3, was supposed to be in Toronto. All of this stuff would have reduced crime, and it would have enlisted hope and love, camaraderie, income, jobs. With the right training and things, people with their moderate abilities in their coping levels can work. But you sure don't have the right to practice end-of-life care in a country that is not yours to come over here to get rid of us to take over, right? God is real, does exist, and totalitarianism, unless it is God doing it, isn't going to happen, and it's not allowed, and you can't do it and get away with it when you're doing it in such a large amount that you can't mistake it. The way I'm working with the journalists who are reporting on Tom's life with pictures about what's happening. It's that clear of a difference, turning the light switch on and off, black and white. And so I'm going to continue to fight to talk about it. So the shirt I can't find with the new girls on the back look like that, because that's what was happening while I was investigating. More were disappearing and dying. Now, of my shirt here, I'm a very happy girl that I did what I did. I made a difference. It mattered. 3 of those 4 parts of their bodies, or all of their bodies, were found. However, none of the crimes have been solved. There have been no arrests, no charges laid, no one's in prison. That's not all right. And Abigail Andrews, nothing. No DNA, not a bone. Because of the area she was in and disappeared from, it's all wilderness, it's forests, wildlife. It's difficult terrain to be trying to dig through there to find anything. So you have to believe in the resurrection, that Jesus died for this very purpose, for us. Here are some of the girls that are on the t-shirt itself. Pauline Brazeau, not related to Patrick Brazeau, but if he was aware of this, then he would totally get involved, like he'd be in tears. Last seen in Calgary, January 9th, 1976. Body found January 9th, 1976 in Cochrane, Alberta. Found, kidnapped, and killed on the very same day. Virginia Samper, age 18, last seen October 14th, 1971 on Highway 16 in Getsik Gukla. I can't say it. Body found, no. Still no body. She may have been hitchhiking. She's not on my t-shirt because I just don't have any more room. What I'm ashamed about as a Canadian citizen in this country, and all the things people say about my Canada cares, is that clearly my Canada doesn't care, because these people haven't been talked about. Their names have not been mentioned. They're not being mourned. There's no publicity across the country. You're just burying it, hoping it goes away, putting it behind, and as long as it doesn't hurt you or affect you, then it's all fine, but it's not. Tara Jane White, age 18, last seen July 1st, 1976, Banff, Alberta. Body found March 24th, my grandmother's birthday. 1981, near Morley, Alberta. Fact, part of an 80s highway murders investigation that included 5 victims on the Highway of Tears list. She's not on my shirt, but she is on that list of victims around those crimes. So I was 6 years old. Do you have any idea how long I had to go before I'd be the one to grow up to find out about this and say their names and make the shirt? 30 more years before, around my needing to be on the TV show and read poetry on the stage in the Talon. If Tom got that book, I mailed this to the set and they mailed it back unopened, and he could have read it, then he could have had some control over how he wanted things to go for his life, for his character, for all of these women, what was happening. The article I wrote and had published in the Terrace paper. Shelley Ann Maxu, age 16, last seen May 3rd, 1983, near Hinton, Alberta. Body still not found. Fact, walking home along Highway 16. She's a victim, but not on my shirt. The ladies that did the dissertation and the 12,000 names that they have don't have my names. They don't have my list. The Wikipedia link that I put in the video I made before going to work. And Nagak Ha, age 19, last seen 1981 in Banff. Body found February 28th, 1981, near Golden, Alberta. Fact, she is part of the 1980s highway murders investigation that included those 5 victims on the Highway of Tears list, but she's not on my shirt. What I had intended, the reason they're here in this folder, was I wanted all of these additional girls who are part of those Highway of Tears investigations to be put on the back of the shirt, to fill out that shirt all the way to the bottom if that's what's necessary, to make a point of the fact that these bodies have not been found or these investigations have not been solved, and that they're all connected to that Highway 16 area and the murder highway in of itself. Jennifer. Okay, we got Michelin Pear, age 18, last seen July 70 along Fort St. John and Hudson Hope. And that's the area I had settled in. I loved it up there. I would have loved to have bought land and built my life into that community. Body found the next month over, August 8th, 1970, near Hudson's Hope. Last seen hitchhiking to a ranch. Victim not on the t-shirt. So I started hitchhiking when I was 18 years old. And by the grace of God, I went east. Hitchhiked to Toronto. Lucky for me, this kind of rampant killing wasn't happening going that way. I also had a driver's license, and a lot of the time I was able to drive. Right? A lot of these girls probably didn't have licenses. They only have one way to get out when you're that poor and you're in that kind of destitute, small populated areas. You got to get out by your feet or you don't get out at all. Melissa Rahoric, age 20, last seen September 16, 1976, Calgary. Body found September 16th. So she was found and killed on the same day. Near the Trans-Canada Highway, part of the 1980s murders that included the victims on the Highway of Tears list. Obviously, she's included in that list that's not on the shirt. So if I could have reached Tom on the show and Steven Seagal, I could have used the power of Clark Kent and Superman and the suit and a reason for him to fly so people wouldn't be throwing tomatoes at the screen and get mad at him because of the right reason to fly. Because this is the right thing to support. That's what superheroes mean. That's how important it is. That's how much it matters. We would have a different outcome. Because if there was more publicity and I had more people helping to fight this, support me by talking about all these people who have passed away and all the people still being reported missing and all the people struggling with homelessness and addiction and mental health issues, then we can fight back because they're not wanted here, can't stay here. Anything that's of evil nature, you can't touch tangibly, right? It's going to be sent a message to go. Because of all the publicity and attention brought to it by everybody has the power to get involved. Mary Jane Hill, she's one of the older ones. She was 31, last seen March 26, 1978 in Prince Rupert. I was born there at the top of the Highway of Tears. I was 3 years old by this point. My dad was a traveling musician in a band called Tradition. So I just happened to not be there when this happened. We had gone to Toronto. So she's also part of the Highway of Tears mysteries. She was found dead on the Highway 16. So she had gotten pretty far from Prince Rupert when the body was found. I don't know how she got that far in one day. Maybe she had managed to get one ride all the way up to that area. So it would have been the one person and then they dumped her. So if I got my way, I still would like to fit them on the shirt. Mary Goudreau, age 17. Last seen August 2nd, 1976, near Beaumont, Alberta. Body found 2 days later, August 4th, 1976, Devon, Alberta. Part of the 80s highway murders investigation that included the victims on the Highway of Tears list. All of this so closely related to my birth. I was born in 75, so I would have been a year old, year and a half. How long they had to wait. for me to grow up to be somebody that cared like Terry Fox did about cancer, gave his life for it. And all that time that there were all these crimes going on around Terry Fox and that fight for cancer in his life, and these girls were losing their lives and no one was running across the country for them. Right? Where are the priorities? When do a person's life matter more in that sense that these are the future because they give birth? They're the ones that bear children. They're the ones that provide the nurturing and the love. And if you don't have that, you have nothing. So aces up to Terry Fox being one of the nicest people this country ever had, because I followed in his footsteps. I idolized that goodness. I believed that was the Canada that cared. And then I realized it's just him. When I stood next to his statue for the first time for myself, hitchhiking at 19, it was a proud moment for me. I had broken both of my legs at different times in my life, and I have really bad asthma. But it occurred to me that no one finished the leg. I mean, lots of people have run all over the Canada, but not the same in sense of where he left off at and couldn't finish the run to finish running from there. And I aspired to wish that if I could have been somebody that could run, walk with a motorhome behind her or the Superwoman van behind me, somebody's recording me, and no matter how long it takes me, that I finish getting all the way to the other side to finish the run from the point of his ultimate death. I would have liked to do that. But I would have liked to have seen somebody in Canada care enough to do that. We're almost there. Helen Claire Frost, age 17. Last seen October 30th, 1970 in Prince George. She was seen leaving her apartment near Highway 16. She is not on the Highway of Tears list, but she's in Prince George. Prince George is the mega center of all of these crimes and deaths. It is where the Satan worship, the bloodbath, the horses to the slaughterhouse centers around. So she's definitely on that list. And I don't know why they wouldn't include that. How could they possibly think that it's completely separate? It's the same crime. And it's in the right area. There's no specific special vendetta. The other little kid that grew up that I mentioned, the boy around all of these deaths, that's what caused his ultimate behavior becoming who he did because of this, right? He had a special list of just his own victims, right? Because he wanted to reprise his own individuality. These were not his. He wasn't, I don't even think he was in the world yet. Age 34, Elsie Friesen, last seen April 3rd, 1989 in Winfield. The body found May 24th, 1991 on Highway 33 near Kelowna. Fact, her remains were found near Helena Tomat's. Oh, she was found near another person. So do you know that's a serial killer, right? She's not on the t-shirt. I don't have room, but the front picture doesn't have it. Dina Lynn Braham, age 16, last seen September 25th, 1999 in Quesnel. Body found December 10th, 1999 in Rural Road. Fact, name associated with Highway of Tears list, but left off the list in 2007. I have a map that shows the stretch of Highway of Tears between Prince George to Prince Rupert. It's not in this link here, but there you go. So there's no partiality. You can see the different age ranges. There was a specific type that was being looked for. Barbara McLean, age 19, last seen February 26, 1977 in Calgary. Body found February 27th, 1977 along a gravel road. Fact, it is part of the 1980s highway murders investigation on the Highway of Tears list. Again, not solved. Right? If you can't care enough to keep solving these crimes like they do in America, Police are damn good. Nothing goes cold. They keep looking. They'll try for their entire careers. They'll keep going back to something. 15 years. They find their serial killers. They find their rapists. They find their pedophiles. They put them in jail. They end their lives. They don't stop caring. And then just keep taking paychecks. Now I have a symbolism of something that sort of describes how I'm feeling about living here and what I wish I could do. This is a tradition for the Blackfoot Nation of people. It represents the rings of the tree. And usually you do for every year of your life. I forget how it's pronounced. Pon Mistis. I have Blackfoot in me, and it probably explains where my self-harming nature comes from, and my angst. I guess my suffering because of what we lost, what was taken from them, and that the lives are still going missing. That there's still being a price paid to put up glass towers and destroy our landscape and our environment over money, which is something these guys didn't use, didn't need it, didn't understand the concept of it, and they were right. I used a picture of that guy because I don't know what my great-grandfathers looked like, but mine were all chiefs. Between Alberta and Montana, they were the first people to be seen riding horses of the Aboriginal tribes of the Algonquin Nation, who originally had the entire North American continent. So Donald's got this butt backwards. They owned the whole place, the Algonquin Nations. That's literally what the land is. And then they divided into separate places, especially as the pioneers and people came over. Now, the French were peaceful. They just wanted to make love, make babies. Let's be family. Then you got Métis. But then greed, trade gets in the way. Now, I think the symbolism of what's going on now is about the fact that we need to go back to taking care of our own country in smaller ways because we can. It's a small enough population. We don't need to be feeling sorry for other people and costing ourselves extra expense and stress and moving things around or having things brought in. We just do it ourselves. We have enough space and buildings to redo sewing factories and give people sewing work and go back to making our own stuff and working with Europe to have our own European line stuff bring stores back from Europe that we used to have here that we loved. Same thing with restaurants. Right? We can fix it. Even if we have to change our money. So I found it. Me so black, me white. And just to show how beautiful love can really be, right? Innocence. The only evidence of my abuse in my life, other than reading my story and watching my videos, is that cast on my leg when I was 3. I was going to use this in a CSI episode with Grissom. Now, today at 50, I'm having more trouble with this left leg than I am with my right leg, which I had pulverized tib, fib, ankle, 2 spots and below the knee. In this picture, goes with a quote in the Bible I'll read about squirting gun going up against all the evil, right? Just squirting gun against the bad and trying to get rid of it. And, you're not getting anywhere because you're just squirting a gun. And I literally was doing that, holding the squirting gun. And what really hurts, what's sad, is the little black girl's life was better than mine, right? She come from good family, good home. She was being taken care of. And the girl in trouble, the girl with the problem, the girl that was crying for the help, symbolism, is the one with the gun. But I also look perfect for John Schneider and Dukes of Hazzard. And if you can see the symbolism of the ancestor, proof of the reality of the native people and the spirits that live in this country, in this land, and the history, and when something's important. You can't mistake my ancestors, their love, and their pride for me. No matter how white I look on the outside, my blood runs deep. Red, Indian princess, all the way. Right? That's big love. I mean, it's sad when you're so black and white because I'm the one with the gun, because I'm the one that had to suffer through all the abuse. I'm so glad I managed to keep this picture. I've worked hard to build this career that I have now. But here's the pictures I'm trying to get to. This is the Jennifer that Tom should have been allowed to reach on the show when they were doing casting calls in season 8 and 9, instead of the Canadian actress that got the part for Lois Lane. So the actual story of Clark looking for the girl that could play Bo Duke's daughter in Dukes of Hazzard. So there's a 2-in-1 scenario for the two actors. This is my Michael Jackson coat and my knockoff glove. We were not rich enough to get the real thing, so I stuck with the cheap stuff. My driver's license. I had a girl in the porn industry, this adult worker lady girl. Anyway, she's like, what were you, like the prettiest girl in the world or something? When she saw pictures of me. Like, that's not very long ago. And I just want people to realize how fast your body can change. You can change. Look at that, 2012 to 2025. Same person. So I'm hoping when I go for this gastric bypass revision, that something will come out of it. So these are what the hats look like. And if people could have supported me by buying the hats and the t-shirts, I could have continued doing what it is I was trying to do in solving crimes and talking about crimes and making more Highway of Tears t-shirts, collecting evidence with people who have the authority to get that evidence, and do my Knight Rider crossover with Dukes of Hazzard around the Phoenix Foundation, because there is a Phoenix Foundation in Prince George. And we'd be in a better place in our lives, in this country, in the world. And he wouldn't be struggling with alcohol today. Never in a million years would I ever imagine that would happen. Wishing somebody a happy birthday under the influence of alcohol, getting arrested in a parking lot at a restaurant after playing a man this beautiful. So you can see the actor and the man are not the same person. But for the man to become back to life, it's going to take a lot of love and support from everybody. Right? You have to believe. Buying the hats and t-shirts, watching the videos, sharing the videos. There's this necklace that John Snyder was given. Beautiful. And I think he put it on the gate of his ranch. My goal had to be to be good enough to be allowed to have one too, or get gifted this one. Like, it's personal for me. It's like, this is all of it. And he's wearing the gift. I didn't get it. I guess he's going to keep it. So he's like, I was a filmmaker before I was a Duke boy. I really was. Super 8 film and editing on my mom's shag rug, 50 feet at a time. That was the biggest consumer could get. 50 feet of no sound, color, Super 8 film. And I felt more like a filmmaker then, until we made Smothered. So he's got a stack of scripts. The guy has been writing forever, not just his music. And so I feel really proud that my life sort of split down like that. And I would have loved to have been able to do the crossover between the two of them in the stories while I look like that for the two different shows around the Highway of Tears and all these crimes, which ultimately is what we're all proud about with the General Lee and those two boys, because sometimes you got to break or bend those rules, good, better, best, to do what is right. These were the other shirts that were stolen out of the Superwoman van that is still in Toronto that I still haven't been able to restore or drive because of all the theft and all of the damage done to the vehicle out of spite and revenge from all the hating that's going on. And it makes no sense. When nobody is doing anything in the sense that what I'm doing is illogical or wrong and shouldn't be allowed to happen. That's how she looked when she was born. Oh, I guess I'll go this way. Right, girl. So now we have the wrong situation. And so whoever had this idea that somehow you're all supposed to stay with Canadians in the country you're in, that you have to have this ideal $1 million budgeted lifestyle according to your budgeted lifestyle, that you can't rise up or have somebody reach down and pull you up and then reach a level of equality where the true relationship and friendship that takes place there is beautiful, natural, and right. So this I'm going to share is me in Prince Rupert, where I was born. This was before we left. In the midst of all that bloodshed that was happening up there. And what was going to happen to me as I got a little older. This would have been the best part of my innocence, my youth. After that, like the song from Adele, I was too young to have the right to choose. Now, I'm going to go to my Tom Willing folder and finish with my point here. About how relevant photographs are and history is. All right, so the folder's title says, The 3 C's in Life, Choice, Chance, Change. You must make the choice to take the chance if you want anything in life to change. I've spent my whole life fighting to stand up for that standard. And my mission is to do a reunion movie and get that Superman in a high school prom experience where he can finally do that with the right story and the right character in the story to fix the history of everything. And I should hope that everybody wants that too. Now, when he was a young boy, he looked like that. I'd say he was a little older than 11, but I was told 11. I don't know. He's really big, so he could have been 11. So he's younger than me. So it has to be younger than me. That beautiful smile, take the cake for me. Drove me insane forever. When he was married to Jamie White, I loved how happy he was for those first 5 years. He's just happy, and I love happy people. I work with special needs kids, and in the pool, they're so happy, and I love that, right? Joy is a good thing. But I could never figure out why he's so happy until I figured out my place in the Charlie Baker series when I saw him playing Charlie Baker in a Cheaper by the Dozen. I misspoke when I said a baker's dozen because that's the movie I want to make because I saw him in Cheaper by the Dozen. One of these days, I'm going to do a clip of showing everybody where he was in the movie, where he was when I saw him and going, who's that guy? And then it forced me to have to watch the whole thing, wait for the credits and find his name. So the girl he's smiling about, hello. That would be her, right? So Charlie Baker fell in love when he was 11 years old with the girl with her first pair of glasses, which was not his Lois Lane or newspaper reporter so much as it was that she was his Superwoman. Because if you fast forward to him as Clark Kent in glasses, awkward when they're on and Superman when they're off, you got yourself a match. Dead ringer. So the boys be happy as Charlie Baker seeing this girl because that's like his everything. He go home with the picture. I've fallen in love. That's my wife. I found my future. And in the story I had in mind with Charlie Baker is because she's older, she always ages out of the schools he's coming into. So she's always leaving him behind. And then by the time they get into the same high school, he didn't ask her to go steady. Hanging out once in a while, she watched him play football. And when she showed up to watch them play football, he'd trip up and screw up and his brain wouldn't work and the ball would go around and team would realize, oh, goodness, she's there in the stands. But that girl turns into that punk you saw with the blue hair and all the piercings because of all the trauma and abuse that was happening. But underneath it, they still shared something that in the story would come back together in the movie that I'd like to still be able to make if I can put it all together. Now, he's been holding her up in that dress here for a very long time. And there's a ring here that's for Charlie Baker. It's in here because it's symbolizing God. It's symbolizing strength, Hercules, everything. Right? There's a lot that I can talk about and say. And I'm very proud of what I know. And I'm okay that if nobody else knows it, except for what I share. And I'm okay with him coming along and saying, okay, that's enough. They don't need to know anything else. I'm good with just you being the one that knows it. That's fine. I'm good with that. But rumor has it, Lord Thomas John Pasek Joseph Welling III is truly his name, that he actually has some Aboriginal bloodline in him as well. So one day he could razz me about a dual passports. You're American. So just think about the choices you make in life every single day and how much it affects everything around you and what you're doing. And let's see if we can work together and try and create a community of hope and peace. Right? Let's build something we want, not watch something fall apart into something we don't want. I'm going to read from a special something, which is around the passing of Heath Ledger, which I lost my mind about, which connected to Brad and Angie in Alberta when I was on security there. And if I had met him there, instead of what had happened there, he'd still be alive, because that's the reason I was sent there by an angel, was to tell him not to take any weird pills from people, from prescription bottles, because you don't know what's in it and you don't know what's going to happen. He was making 4 movies at the time. Shouldn't make that many movies. A lot of character stuff going on in your head. And then go for a massage after popping all that stuff. Like, it was just not so good for me. Like, I lost my mind. I went out into the woods. I hung an apple from the tree. I wrote some poetry. And then he spoke back to me. And he wrote, walk tall as the trees, live strong as the mountains, be gentle as the spring rain. Keep the warmth of the summer in your heart. I know through these pictures that my spirit will always be with you. Love, Heath. At the time, I was collecting the largest collection of pictures of him to do a book called Heath's Ledger. And that flash drive got messed with, so all the pictures I can't access. I think I still have the flash drive somewhere on the hopes that somebody might be able to. So I couldn't do it anymore. But as I was looking at him talking to me from the pictures, I was losing my mind, because he's like, where are you? Right? I'm looking, I'm waiting. I believe in that friendship. I once went to see A Knight's Tale in the movie theater in the middle of the day in Winnipeg. And it was like having the whole place rented out. I was alone. I got to see a matinee of him in Knight's Tale by myself in the whole theater. Like, it was just for me. And it was awesome. And I had intended to do A Knight's Tale 2. At that point, I wasn't trying to do Smallville reunion 2-part movie and the Supergirl trilogy. I knew as a kid when I saw Supergirl with Helen Slater and Faye Dunaway that they had poked fun at Jehovah's Witnessing, knocking on door people thing. And I got mad, because I'm like, I'm going to grow up and fix that image, because we're not all the same. And the point is, people are individuals. We are not like, Star Trek, one brain. And I didn't want people to look at me and think of my religious beliefs, my morals, my life, to be amalgamated or categorized as if it's just one way. And I'm not. I have lots of feeling. I have lots of life experience. I've outlived those people on so many levels. I can't communicate or connect. I don't dress like a middle class person. I'm not a conservative. I don't vote liberal. I'm not NDP. Right? So, like, politics itself is a joke. We shouldn't have it because nobody's doing anything. Henceforth, the crime. So, if Tom had gotten the book, I could have gone to an event where this stuff could have been shared with everybody around Heath's passing away, and everything would have gone right. Like when Cuba got the golden, was it the Oscar? Yeah, because there was nobody else that could collect it for him. Because I was going to write something good enough to be like, hey, can I have that Oscar? Because it's all I have between me and Heath. But everything in Tom's life would have been different if he could have read this book, the first book. And I'm sure the crimes would have gone differently as well. So the dedication inside is called Genesis, right? The beginning, the Bible. In every man, everyone, everything, and everywhere, there is evidence of eviction. So think about that. What side do you want to be on? That's what the fall of man and death means. Right? Do you want to be in the resurrected world, or do you just want your end to come? Your choices matter. Let's see if I can figure it out, which one to close with. I want to talk about something that connects with all of the crime. Don't know if I have anything in this one. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go to page 9. Rape. Letting go. Remembering each time, remembering each fight. Every touch felt like being stabbed with a knife. Remembering the laughter of those who stood by the doorway wall, watching this all. Remembering when you were being held down tight, each one taking turns with your life, feeling so helpless as you lie there through it all, thinking and feeling that it will never go away. Never again will you feel the same way. They've taken your innocence and thrown it all away, leaving just horrors lying in the way. It's not fair. It's not right. As you watch them walk away, scarless from it all. It's nothing but another score for their woe. It's not fair. It's not right. Oh, how it would be so nice to see them fall and make them feel just once what we felt through it all. Searching. I'm going to do this one about being lost, right? And that's the point of all the souls, of all the unmarked graves, of all the bodies that are dug up when they're building things and we don't know anything about the lives. And then instead of doing something to solve it, they just cover it up and go on with what they're doing, like they did in Toronto, building was it the Danforth? No, Don Valley. Oh boy, I won't get into that. But this is called searching. Searching for something, not knowing what it is, hoping to find it as you keep moving on. Don't know what to do, keep searching for some sight. For the more you look around, the more there's only night. But just when you think there's no hope at all, you look up above you and there shines some light. How quickly you race to follow that sight, for now you're afraid to lose this light. You start to climb, keep climbing after it, closer and closer, now very bright. You begin to feel a rush, for you think you're almost there. But just then you blink and it all disappears, hoping to have reached it before it was gone, not knowing if anyone was ever to make it. You think maybe you can fake it, You begin to feel tired, knowing now that it was futile. But you just can't stop, for there's no way down. Only a big empty space with a black face. You're hearing voices. You look around, even though you can't see ground. Now something is calling your name, saying to you, come on down. With all the rest, don't worry, they won't contest. Damn it, I hate the devil. You panic, not knowing what to do. Don't bother, it says. You've failed, nothing left you can do. Gripping you tightly, pulling you down, feeling no emotion, no strength left, and hardly any will. Floating in nothing as time is standing still. Now in deep thought you begin to wonder if this is all a deep spell we're under. There's got to be something left to do. Must find a way to fight this thing. Can't let it feel at home in our hearts, for we've already been split into too many parts. Whatever it is, it's in us now. Some of us knowing this, yet others still aware of nothing at all. It'll enter when you're sleeping or when you feel alone. Mustn't let your mind wander into this unsacred zone. Day by day, minute by minute, it's growing stronger and stronger within us all. We turn to each other, hoping someone may have found the answer. Nothing left to do except to keep moving on. We walk around wondering what's left for us to go through, what's left for us to do. But in the final end, still having found no answer yet, the search continue on. So I'm going to end it there. I will read the scriptures I didn't get to finish reading with the previous Let's Talk About Crime and how that connects with my Let's Talk About Tom Mulling. I will continue to talk about all that I know how to talk about because I know a lot and there's lots to talk about. And what I'm talking about is relevant and will get us somewhere. Quit looking in the newspaper. Quit looking in your online feed. Don't listen to what's being said on the news or TV or any of those public events with the politicians. Quit paying into their pocket. Right? Listen to God. That is the answer. Find these videos. Find your way to your Bible. Follow the scriptures and read it and understand that I'm telling you the truth, that I'm right, that I'm leaps and bounds ahead about where everything is going. Rockets are not the future of space. Tesla's not the future of cars. Oil isn't the future of gas or even airplanes. Hydro dams are not the answer to electricity. I could go on, but I think I make my point that there's a lot of options out there. Because we've invented so many things, that doesn't mean we're supposed to cut down what our available options should be. We should still be allowed to choose those options. We should be allowed to use horses and slow down, because that's the symbolism of how long forever is. And so I'm going to try and work that out in as orderly way possible as I make these episodes between the different things that I talk about when I do my YouTube videos. So peace out, guys. Good night. Knock on wood, everybody stays alive another night. Nothing happens anywhere. I'll be back to share the scriptures to go with my thoughts from the Bible about these videos I just made and what I've written in the descriptions. Good night. Have a good Sunday. Go to church, pray, read your Bible, or watch a talk online tomorrow. Amen. Superwoman, signing out.